A single drop of sweat falls, striking the blinding white limestone. It hisses, evaporating before it can stain the pristine rock. There is no grand music here on this towering plateau. There is only the violent groan of tearing hemp fibers, the violent splintering of heavy cedar sledges, and the rhythmic, desperate breath of 50 men pulling in perfect, agonizing unison. The air itself is a weapon, choked with a blinding fog of pulverized limestone that coats the lungs and cakes upon the flesh. Every inhalation is a battle against the earth, every exhalation a prayer to the heavens, expelled into a heat haze that distorts the very fabric of reality. They are not slaves driven by the lash. They are believers bound by the sacred weight of Ma'at. And they are dragging a mountain into the merciless sky, muscle by torn muscle, tendon by straining tendon. It is a brutal choreography of mortal flesh and immortal stone, a desperate endeavor to build a literal staircase for a living God, so that the cosmos itself might not unravel into darkness. Far below this blinding plateau of agony lies the dark, life-giving ribbon of the inundation. The dark waters of the Nile spread across the valley floor, heavy with the black silt of rebirth. But here, suspended between the mud and the starlight, there is only an arid, choking ocean of relentless white dust. We have abandoned the fertile earth to embrace the barren sky. We trade the harvest of the soil for the harvest of eternity. The crushing, oppressive geometry of the Great Pyramid rises like an artificial mountain, asserting order upon the chaotic horizon. The ascending ramp is an impossible incline, a brutal trajectory of sun-scorched earth and timber that defies the natural laws of gravity, demanding an impossible toll from the fragile men who dare to conquer it. Here, mathematics is not abstract thought. It is the inescapable, crushing authority of the divine, rendered in absolute stone. The brutal sun sculpts the hauling gang in deep, unforgiving chiaroscuro. Stark shadows cut sharply across their sunburned bronze backs, highlighting a gruesome, beautiful tapestry of strained muscle, blooming bruises, dried salt, and pale scars. They lean forward as a single organism, their flesh painted by the blinding ambient light reflecting off the Tura limestone. Before the massive sledge, the water-bearer dances a hyper-focused, lethal ballet. He pours precise streams from his heavy clay jar onto the wooden runners, cheating friction by mere milliseconds. If he pours too much, the sledge sinks into mud. If too little, the wood bursts into sudden, catastrophic flame under the devastating pressure. Water is life in the valley. Here, it is merely the fleeting illusion of ease beneath the grinding teeth of the earth. Thick, coarse hemp bites violently into the calloused, blistered shoulders of the hauling gang. The fibers act as a relentless, serrated blade, grinding through hardened skin to find the tender muscle beneath. Each agonizing step forward is paid for in droplets of dark blood, a sacred currency traded for the preservation of the divine order. To build for the pharaoh is not mere labor, it is a brutal, unyielding act of prayer, carved into granite and bone. Suddenly, the cedar sledge bites too deeply into the wet sand. Forward momentum dies instantly. The terrifying, crushing weight of the earth reasserts its dominion over human will. The thick ropes snap taut as bowstrings, trembling with lethal tension, threatening to violently sever and whip back through the lines of desperate, straining men. Gravity is the elder god. It does not sleep, and it does not forgive the audacity of men who reach for the stars. Through the blinding storm of white powder, the overseer calls out the sacred rhythm. It is a guttural, lung-burning chant that binds the fragmented strength of 50 mortals into a single, unstoppable force. They must breathe together, pull together, and suffer together. For any broken synchronization invites the terrifying chaos of Isfet to shatter their fragile endeavor. Beneath the immense, suffocating weight of the monolith, the microphysics of destruction play out in agonizing detail. The wood shrieks in violent protest, releasing a pungent, acrid smell of burning timber and pulverized rock that chokes the laborers with every heavy, desperate inhalation. The stone does not wish to move. We must conquer its eternal slumber with the fleeting, violent fire of our own mortality. In the shimmering, hallucinatory heat haze, a single man stumbles. His knees buckle beneath the impossible load, his vision swimming in a sea of blinding white. Instantly, the brutal, unforgiving chain of brotherhood absorbs his burden. The ropes dig deeper into the shoulders of the men beside him, their muscles tearing as they carry both the stone and their fallen brother. There is no weakness permitted on the ramp. When one pillar fractures, the entire temple must brace to bear the weight. They push ever upward into the thinning air, a procession of ants dragging a mountain toward the blinding eye of Ra. Every inch gained is a profound psychological victory against the sheer terror of the incline. They are blinded by the alkaline dust, hammered by the unrelenting sun, and stripped of all identity save for the brutal, unified purpose of the hall. They finally breach the designated course level, a dizzying plateau suspended high above the sprawling necropolis. The air here feels perilously thin, ripped from their lungs by a relentless, howling desert wind. The sheer drop to the valley floor is a terrifying void, waiting to consume any fatal misstep. We walk upon the edge of the knife. On one side, the glory of the heavens. On the other, the dark, waiting abyss. The overseer raises his stave, signaling the command for the ultimate, absolute pull. Human flesh reaches its absolute breaking limit. The thick veins bulge dangerously against sweat-slicked temples. Vision blurs into a chaotic, throbbing red mist. Flesh is a temporary vessel. Only when it is completely emptied can the true, immortal will of the gods be fully realized. The massive block of Tura limestone hovers precariously upon the absolute precipice of its eternal slot. Time itself violently dilates, stretching seconds into agonizing eternities. The cedar sledge screams its final, desperate warning, bowing under the crushing pressure. The men hold their breath, suspended in a horrific purgatory between devastating failure and immortal triumph. With a sudden, explosive release of devastating tension, the monolith slides free of the wooden runners. It falls with a violent, deafening crack, 2.5 tons of unyielding limestone crashing perfectly into its designated resting place. It is done. The stone has found its home. It will not move again until the end of all things. We look closely at the impossibly flawless union of the massive stones. Not even the thinnest blade of a master's copper knife could find purchase in the microscopic seam. Through agonizing chaos and shattered bone, absolute mathematical order has been forged upon the earth. Upon the pristine, blinding white face of the newly set stone, there remains a single rust-colored smear of fresh blood and dried sweat. It is the fragile, fleeting signature of a mortal man upon an immortal canvas. A temporary blemish of life that will soon be baked to invisible dust beneath the relentless gaze of the eternal sun. The vision fractures. The blinding, glorious white casing of the pyramid violently dissolves before our eyes. The smooth, polished outer layer of Tura limestone vanishes into the greedy maw of time, stripped away by millennia of thieves and earthquakes. What remains is the jagged, heavily weathered, golden-brown core of the modern era, a skeletal monument bleeding into the hazy, polluted sky. The gods have retreated behind the veil of the stars. They left behind only their hollow thrones, naked and scarred by the relentless winds of time.
The blood is baked to ash.
The sacred guttural chants of the hauling gang are entirely gone, swallowed by the vast silence of the ancient necropolis. The blood has dried, the blisters have healed into nothingness, and the mighty cedar sledges have rotted to ash. Only the distant mechanical hum of the encroaching modern city dares to break the solemn, heavy stillness of the plateau. The flesh that moved the mountains has been reclaimed by the earth, but the undeniable scars of their ambition refuse to fade.
Dust reclaims the throne. The blood is
We stand before the immense, imposing ruin, feeling the crushing, undeniable gravity of human endeavor. Millennia have washed over these massive, silent stones like brief ripples upon a vast ocean. The empires of antiquity have crumbled to ash, their pharaohs reduced to museum curiosities and whispered myths. Yet this jagged, artificial mountain continues to violently pierce the burning heavens.
We were shadows upon the
Listen to the silence of the stone. It remembers the heat of the hands that shaped it. Mortal life is but a fleeting shadow upon the sand. But the stone remains forever to testify, echoing through the corridors of time, that we once dared to stand together, defy the earth, and build a brilliant staircase to the immortal stars.